Welcome to Literally Books, the podcast where we read literally anything because it shouldn't be a saga to find your next favorite read. I'm Lindsay.
My name is Magda.
And we are here so excited, but also very exhausted because it is our recap of the Texas Book Festival, and we left about 35 minutes ago.
Yes, we did. We literally got in our cars and we just zoomed to the house, set up our little mini studios at home. By set up is just getting our computers out on our mics. And here we are. Straight from the whole action. Reporting to you, the listener, letting you know why you need to go to the Texas Book Festival if you haven't.
First of all, now I have this memorized because Magda and I had the incredible honor of moderating some sessions. It goes to support Texas literacy across the state, particularly for people that are school age. And we both have a special place in our hearts for the YA element of this. Shout out to Michelle Hernan, who's the director of their YA programs. So yeah, it's just a warm, fuzzy experience.
It's simply the best. You know, my husband, this was his first time going to a Texas Book Festival or a book festival in general. He has never been to one. And he went because, you know, we were moderating some panels, so he went to check them out. And the first thing that he told me when I got home was, book people are just the nicest people on earth. Like, I just felt like the whole vibe, the community, everybody's just so welcoming and warming. It's just the best experience you can, the best thing that you expect of humanity is here at a book festival. And it just warmed my heart because my husband can be a little bit of aloof to humanity, I want to say. And this just kind of gave him like another reason of like, oh my gosh, there's hope. Like there is something about this group of people coming together to celebrate books that just warms everybody's hearts, no matter how jaded you may be.
The first thing that I noticed about this year, and it like really made my heart happy, is that compared to last year, and I have no data to support this, it felt so much busier, especially yesterday, Saturday.
Yeah, it was absolutely insane. Like, the lines to go into any type of book event, whether it was at, you know, one of the big venues like the churches or the theaters, it was blocks and blocks long. Like people were lining up an hour and a half prior to the event starting so they could get good seats. And it wasn't just the big venues, it was also the tent events. There was people just like hovering outside of the tent, sitting on the ground, because everybody wanted to see these incredible authors and just talking about community in general. It was just, it made me so happy. I know that last year, I believe they said that it was about 40,000 people that attended the festival. I would like to think that it was way more than that this time around because it felt like it. It was so many people. And again, props to the book festival people. It was so well organized. Everything was so coordinated. The volunteers were incredible as usual. Everything just ran so smoothly. For handling the crowd control that was all around us, I never felt unsafe. It was just such a smooth process of controlling this crazy amount of people. I loved it. Like I don't even know how the logistics of running a festival are, but whatever they did, it's working. Let's just start out. Like yesterday, we went there early. There was a session with Katherine Center, who is the queen of romance. She has written books like The Bodyguard,
The Love Haters.
Yeah, The Love Haters. It was also Naina Kumar, who wrote Flirting with Disaster. And we couldn't go in. Like one of our friends texted and was like, the line is 3 blocks long and they're already cutting people off. Like you can't come in. Because I was planning on going like, oh, the session starts at 11. I'll be there at 10:50. Nope, 10 minutes. I was already late to the game. So they're like, don't even bother coming. I was just like, okay, bye, Katherine Center. Which, amazing. Like, that is amazing to see that so many people are wanting to go to those type of, and a romance session too. Like, that's amazing to see.
I agree.
But yeah, I was like, that was the first one. So we're like, okay, I guess we're not doing that. We'll just go into, that's kind of when we went to like some of the vendor tents and we kind of hung out around Stimulate, which is one of a really amazing bookstore. And they do a lot of like special editions with other authors and things like that, which is kind of great. And that's where we got to see a couple of authors, like Tracy Deonn was doing a signing with them. You were able to get your book signed with her. And we also got to see
Gillian,
Julia,
Eliza. Yes.
Yeah, West, which was amazing. So we got to see her. I have her books here, Ruin and Reckoning. But she also wrote recently Into the Heart Steps, which is like a vampire story. So it was really cool to see her and see them like in their whole element. I also love that all of these other bookstores partner with other authors. So they have additional opportunities for the people to be able to get their book signed. So it's not just going to be the book signing that we're going to see through the book festival, but they might get other opportunities because, again, the lines are so long. So for a lot of these like high in demand authors, you're going to have multiple potential opportunities to be able to get their, to talk to their favorite authors, which is pretty cool.
Here's my favorite thing about that too, and this happened to us last year, and I think when they have these high draw authors, like Tracy Deonn, obviously an extremely successful author, YA author, and we'll talk more about her later, but they oftentimes pair them with someone who is either newer in their career or traditionally indie published previously indie published, or, just maybe doesn't have the pull yet, but is a very similar genre or a similar writer. And we know of Gillian Eliza West because she's done a lot of local events here in Austin, but she was paired with Tracy Deonn. And so it was an opportunity for readers to get familiarity with someone new next to someone maybe that they've already heard of. And we had this experience last year where we went to go see Ali Hazelwood, and that's when we met Ahibor Akosin, who wrote the Forged by Blood series, and now she's like one of my favorite people in the world. But we also freaking love those books, and I don't know that I would have gotten to Ahi as quickly had it not been for that experience.
Exactly. It's one of my favorite things, the amount of thought that goes into those type of pairings. It is so incredible. So yeah, go if you are going to go to a book festival similar to the Texas Book Festival, or just come next year, take a look at some of the vendors that are coming, because there's going to be a lot of bookstores from all over the US that are going to be doing very similar events, and they will post, hey, at this time, these authors are going to be here, or at, just like different types of things that are going to just enhance your experience for going to a book festival, which is amazing.
It is. Okay, should we talk about the first session that we attended?
Yes, let's do it. So the first session that we went to was called Spellbinding a Speculative Fiction, Witches, Demons, and Interstellar Intrigue. And that was with John Scalzi, who wrote the Shattering piece. And then Martha Wells, who, as you guys know, wrote Murderbot, but also recently released The Queen Demon, which is part of a series called the Rising World series. I've been meaning to read that. Mm-hmm. And I had never heard of John Scalzi before. This was my introduction to him. I went for that session because of Martha Wells.
Same.
And I fell in love with this dude. Hilarious, snarky, and he has a massive following for science fiction. Like, people are obsessed with his type of writing. He recently just wrote a book called, hold on, I have it right here, When the Moon Hits You in Your Eye. And it's about what happens when the moon turns into cheese. So it's like those type of stories that are so crazy out there, but he makes you believe in that type of storytelling, and you find it so intriguing that you want to go in with that type of thing. The vibe that I got from him is that he writes a lot of what's the word that I'm looking for? Just like making a lot of commentary on humanity by using a lot of like funny remarks about ridiculous situations that kind of take place with like a science fiction element. Mm-hmm. And I love that. Like, now I can't wait to go read more about his books.
Yeah, and there was a few things about that session that I really loved. One, it reminded me a bit of when we saw V. Schwab and Nnedi Okorafor at the National Book Festival, in that bless the moderator. He was lovely and very good at what he was doing. But there was so much chemistry between Martha Wells and John Scalzi that like he really didn't have to say anything. And they were so good about hyping each other up and had so much familiarity with each other and such a good rapport that the relationship between them made you more excited to read their books. So I got the impression that if you came in there as a John Scalzi fan, you were also going to become a Martha Wells fan, and vice versa. Like, we both very much, John Scalzi, I know, is very well known. We just hadn't had a chance to, be introduced to his work. And I felt like that session was why I wanted to go get it. The other thing that really got me on board with him is that somebody asked on the end of the session, it was a Q&A from the crowd. Someone said, how do you ensure that the science in your science fiction squares and like makes sense. And John Scalzi was like, that is why I didn't say what kind of cheese that the moon was made out of in this book about what happens when the moon turns to cheese, because he was like, I know that someone was going to be like, the density of feta, it would not support the weight of this gravitational pull. And I was like, 1000%, I would be the person that would be like, that doesn't make sense. He was absolutely right that someone would do that. And he was like, so I just left it vague. I thought that was so funny.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite things about that panel as well.
Okay, so the session 2, we kind of had to sneak into because we were late, and apparently we were late in that we were 15 minutes early, which was double booked writing for YA and adult audiences across genres. And that was with Nick Stone, Ali Hazelwood, and Nnedi Okorafor, moderated by Kayla Starr, who's a very well-known bookstagrammer. And I think she started the Black Girl Book Fest, or she's related to that in New York City. What did you think of that session?
For the little bit that I saw, I had not heard of Nick Stone before. And I know that she's like really well known, but that's another author that I was just recently introduced to. I know that her latest book is called Boomtown. So I do kind of want to check some of her work out, because I think our friend Lauren was telling us that her books are so addictive. Mm-hmm. When we came in, they were talking about not being boxed into one genre or being redefined into something, or like bowing down to like what the publishers or people want. And I thought that was a really honest conversation, because I think Nick Stone said, like, you don't let them. Like, you don't. Which is true. Like, you try to push hard as much as you can. But I love Nnedi's answer, which was like, you don't let them, but there's only so much you can do about that. There is going to be resistance to the work that you're trying to do. And it's just trying to find those people that are going to be able to say yes, or be able to kind of want to be able to work with you. Because like, it's really nice to say, like, yeah, like, fight hard the power and just continue doing it, but that's not really the case. Like, you have to be able to make your way and try to find those people that are willing to kind of accept the work that you're trying to do. So I really love the message from both of them, because I think you're going to you have to be able to push back a little bit against the people that are wanting to kind of box you in or not wanting to give you the yes. But at some point, you're going to have to try to find your own way to be able to kind of get your stories out there so people can read them.
The other thing I thought was funny is that Ali also chimed in this conversation and talked about, the difficulty of the publishing world, which she's commented on a little bit before. And I said to you, like, I think Ali has, in the best way, a hatred of institutions in general. Like, she also hates academia for the exact same reason, I think. And I think she took that to heart, because we saw that she started working around the publishing industry and created her Kickstarter.
Yes.
After the end, a dystopian romance novel series. And so I thought that was so cool, the way that she internalized that and was like, you know what, F it. I'm going to do it my own way, because I don't like the way in which we're getting treated and the way in which we have to navigate this. That didn't come up as part of the session. It's just something that I thought about.
No, you're so right. I mean, that's such a beautiful connection to this, because she left academia now. And I don't know if it's because now she's making bank with all of her books, or she's just really like, I don't need to deal with this crap anymore. I'm out. But yeah, I think that's a beautiful connection, Lindsay, and not one that I have made earlier. But I mean, after the end made so much money. They raised over $1 million, and they're already planning on doing a second one because of the support that they received from the people out there, from like the readers. So it makes me really happy. They're also leveraging voices from other authors that might not get as much of a platform too. So she is doing what she wants to do, which is she's telling the stories that she wants to tell, while at the same time empowering up and coming storytellers, which we love her for that.
Okay, should we talk about your session?
I know. Oh man. I will honestly tell you, so I was very lucky, and it was an honor and privilege to be able to moderate a session between Tracy, Deonn, and Adam Silvera. So you guys know, Tracy Deonn wrote the Legendborn Order Cycle series. And her latest book is Oathbound, book 3 that came out earlier this year. We covered it on our podcast. So if you're not familiar with it, go and make sure to listen or watch those episodes, because that was so much fun. And then Adam Silvera wrote They Both Die at the End series. And the latest book is The Survivor Wants to Die at the End. some of the most heartbreaking, beautiful stories that I have ever read. It was just really left me like my heart is broken but full at the same time while reading that. These are two of the nicest, warmest, smartest people that I have had the privilege of meeting. They made me feel so welcome, even though I'm like a random person, an outsider just coming to moderate. And they were so cool talking to me backstage in the green room, telling me stories about like a lot of where their ideas came from, how we should be talking about like throughout the session. And they're just kind of giving me like feedback on things that have worked for them in the past. And I just love that. Like, I was a little scared because Tracy and Adam are friends in real, like they're like really close. So I was a little nervous that I was just going to come in, I was going to be like the odd person out, but they were so welcoming. And Lindsay, they were like, Tracy at the end, she's like, where is Lindsay? I need to go talk to her because let's make sure that we take a picture and make sure that she gets her book signed. Like just the level of thought that they have for like other people, that just screams how much of an amazing people they are.
Yeah, it was really funny. Magda did an incredible job moderating with them. I thought the conversation was so authentic and it felt very much like your voice, and you did not come across as nervous at all. And I think a big part of it is what you're talking about, which is one, they have so much chemistry between the two of them, which is so obvious. Like they were if they were chaotic good, that was there, like in the best. They were so funny. But the other thing that made me laugh is they were like, what was the name of the session again? It was Boundless Imagination, World Building in YA Fantasy and Sci-Fi. But you got them talking so much about like grief and depression and mental health and, my favorite subject in the world, which is like parentified children. And they were like, this is depressing, but it is a hopeful story. And I think it's so funny because I was thinking, and I think I wrote this, like people who go through the darkest shit tend to be like, if they can come through it like the biggest lights in the world, like having the perspective and the vulnerability and the sense of humor about it is just something that will make someone all the more compelling. And that just came through so much in that session.
I'm so glad you liked it. I will honestly say that I totally blacked out during that session. So I'm looking forward to seeing the video. We are going to be posting it in our socials, like the whole interview, so you guys will be able to see. I'm sure the quality is going to be a little potato, but it's what we have. So
I'm sorry. I'm not familiar with this expression. What does a little potato mean?
Just like potato quality is just going to be like, like the audio might not be good. It's not going to be our podcast level of good, Lindsay.
I have never heard of the expression potato.
You never heard that?
No, I'm obsessed with it.
I used it in my household all the time. Like, sorry for the potato quality, because it's just like, man, it's just like, nah. I don't know why. I don't even know where that came from, but I've been saying that for years.
Stealing that, I'm obsessed with it.
No,
sorry, I was
potato
just
quality.
snagged on that. I was like, that's funny. Yeah.
But it should be fun. Again, really lovely people. They were amazing. They were incredible. So cool. I don't know if I'm ever gonna be able to tap that experience. Like I don't know. Like this was just like the highlight of my year was doing that panel and like getting to meet them and getting to see how incredible they were.
Yeah.
And like just my favorite thing, like it just meant so much to me because Tracy, like she went out of her way, Lindsay, just be like, Magda, where is Lindsay? Like we need to take because she remembered telling you at the line, let's take a picture in the green room. And like she like after the interview, she looked at me and was like, where's Lindsay so we can go take a picture because I promised her. And then also what other books like she needs to sign. And then she's like, okay, if I don't see her, come to the signing line, skip it and just come tap me so we can do it.
Don't be mad about that, guys. I'm sorry.
We didn't do it, guys. We didn't do that.
So I didn't cut in front of anyone.
But that's the kind of person that she was, like just so the attention to detail and to like the care of other people, it just speaks volumes as of the type of people that they are. And I just love that so much.
Yeah, and even if they hadn't done that, which like one, I could cry. I think there was like chemistry the second we spoke to Tracy. Even in the National Book Festival, I felt like that warmth from her. But like, even if she hadn't been that warm, which I would totally understand, because it's a job where people have a parasocial relationship with you and they feel that they can approach you. And because you write about vulnerable things, they can like trauma dump on you. Like, that is a hard thing to straddle. And I would understand why an author might be like, I can't do this. Like, I need to protect myself mentally. So like, I am extra. Yeah, I'm just so, I think I saw in you the impact that their personalities had, in that you felt so comfortable in a new environment. But then also like having that experience, like, yeah, it was a thrill. It was a thrill. I left on such a high yesterday.
Me too. That was honestly a great way to end day one. It was such a relief. And that was a wrap on day one. So I think we need to talk about day two. So day two for us was a little bit on the shorter day, maybe. But I was lucky enough because Lindsay had to moderate on day two. So I had to go to go hold the spot in the front of the line, make sure that I was front row and center so I could be my best dance mom, like what we're calling it. I was your cheerleader, be able to record and take video content, for our socials and just to remember this day. So I was able to, because I showed up so early, I was able to experience this amazing event, this panel that I was not expecting to go into. And that honestly always turns out to be some of the best panels.
Always. Anything that you just randomly go to is going to change your life.
I'm like, what the hell? Like, how did this even happen? So the funny thing is that this panel was also with John Scalzi, but he was talking about another book that he didn't mention in his first panel. And the title, I'm just going to read you the name of the panel because I think that's going to put my next thing into context. The name of the panel was Fromage Fatale, Cults, Capitalism, and Cosmic Conspiracies.
Funny.
It's so funny. Whoever came up with that title, good job, person at the Texas Book Fest. So it was John Scalzi who was talking about when the mood hits, which is like when the moon turns into cheese, that story. But then there was also this guy, this author, his name is Joshua Wheeler, and he wrote this book called The High Heaven. This is the one that I'm like, I need to go read this book immediately. Let me read you a little bit of the premise. It follows the life of Easy Gently, a girl orphaned in 1967 after a clash between a doomsday cult and a sheriff in New Mexico. And what it does is it follows this girl throughout different types of her life to see where she is and how this kind of fits into this conflict that you're seeing throughout the town. And there's like alien conspiracies and things like that. And the way that he described it was very Southwestern Gothic type of literature. And I'm like, I'm intrigued. I need to know about this.
I love the Southwest too.
Here's what I loved about it. The way that the conversation started, and I love this moderator for that. She was like, my first question is, if you could start a cult, what would that cult look like? Like, that was it. That was the question. And the reason why I love this question is because these two authors are hilarious. Apparently, John Scalzi has recently bought a church. Not because it's like a religious thing. He bought it because he just bought the building for his new office. So that just kind of started some opinions online where people were like, why is he buying a church? What is he doing? So it just kind of started the whole conversation about like, maybe I will start a cult, but that's kind of weird because most likely I'm going to end up dead because one of my little minions is going to murder me and they're just going to put me up in a pedestal. And then Josh Wheeler comes in, is like, it'll probably be me. I'll be the minion that murders him. And I'm just going to be in charge of the fashion because a fashion statement in a cult is very important. And that's kind of how the conversation started. It was just making light of like a cult situation, and that was the entire theme throughout the book. Anytime they would ask a question, they would just revert it back into the cult situation and just kind of keep adding layers upon layers upon layers onto this show. And it was one of my favorite panels outside of yours, Lindsay, but it was just so hilarious to see these two authors just cracking up, and like it just made me want to read their stories even more because that's the kind of voice that I want to read in these times. I want something that is that type of snarky and that type of like lightness that it just makes me want to laugh. And I loved it so much.
Oh, I can't wait to check it out. This is going to be the thing that like starts our next TBR cycle, you know?
Oh my God. It's so bad, Lindsay. It's so bad. And we have, I know that we still have to talk about a couple of things, but Yeah, that was amazing. I'm gonna read this Josh Wheeler because I think I'm so interested to see what this story is about, and I just fell in love with these two authors. Like I'm like, oh my god, this sounds incredible. So that was like my unexpected panel of the weekend. That I'm like, okay, I'm fully bought in. Okay, and then we move on to Lindsay's panel, which was called Between Realms and Realities, Building Worlds That Fight Back, which was with Nettie Okorafor and May Corland. And Lindsay, you had a couple of, there were some initial hiccups going into this because May Corland was running a little bit late. So you handled this like such a professional. I felt so proud of you because I would be like, this is it. We're shutting the entire festival down. But you were like, no, we are doing this. And it was pretty much an intimate conversation with Nettie Okorafor. And honestly, the two of you had such a flawless conversation about, you know, like her whole life. And like, I feel like she knew that she was going to have to do a lot because it was supposed to be two authors, right? And she opened up so much about her life and about her writing process that I don't think it would have been something that we would have gotten if May Corland was there, for instance. I'm not saying that it would have been bad or good. It's just that I love being able to kind of get that intimate look into Nettie's life and what inspired her writing life, because she made it sound that this was very autobiographical for her in a way. And it was a way for her to be able to process a lot of feelings that relate to her family, her immigrant life and background. It was just so beautiful. I know I'm talking like, I know I'm going to give you space, but one of my favorite things was there was this woman sitting next to me. And she was like, I was here and I came for May Corland because I loved her books. But after listening to Nettie, I cannot wait to go read Death of an Author. Like, I am so intrigued by this author. And that, to me, it is the success. Like, that just determines how successful this was. Because it just made somebody that hadn't heard of Nettie, and she was just like, I want to know what this is about because I am fascinated by her storytelling. So I just want to give you my props for that because you handled this so beautifully, and it was such an incredible conversation.
Nettie is, we saw her at the National Book Festival. She is just so engaging. I could literally listen to her talk about her process and her experience and her characters forever. And I felt like she was maybe hesitant at first about like what the tone of the interview was going to be. And then she was very gracious in being like vulnerable about the autobiographical nature of this book, which is very tough because everyone should go read the book, but it is, it's about complicated feelings. It's about complicated relationships with your family. It's about loss. It's about expectations. It's about creating. And she just was so freaking honest that I was like, I told Magda, I was like, I had to like consciously be like, shut your mouth, because I was like letting my mouth like drop open and like just staring at her like an idiot while she was speaking. I was like, get your face together, girl, because you got to ask her a question again.
I'm pretty sure that was all of us in the audience because your husband was sitting right next to me and he's not known for his literature.
He doesn't like reading. No,
and even he was just like, that was a really good conversation. This is my imitation of your husband. But he was like, that was like really good. Like, that was so interesting. And I'm like, that's the point of these panels. Like, these panels are meant to be able to attract a new audience that otherwise they wouldn't have known about this. And that's why I think it was so, like, I had the woman that was sitting next to me and then your husband who didn't know anything about Nettie. And then they were like, she's freaking amazing. Like, I want to know more about her.
She is amazing. Yeah, she just is amazing. I don't know. That book. So, and it's funny. It was not May's fault. She did something that I've definitely done before, which is like, you remember something in your mind. You're like, this thing is at this time. And she got ready for that time, and that time was 1:00 and our session was at noon. And so she came running in literally at the perfect time if she was going to have to come late, which was like right at the beginning of the audience Q&A. So they still got good time with her, and she had another session in the afternoon. So it ended up working out in a weirdly perfect way. Like, this is my life. If I had to summarize my life in general, it was like, the luckiest version of unlucky. Like everything is going to go wrong that can go wrong, but like generally it always kind of balances out into this like very kismet thing. And today was like a perfect example of that, where like nothing went like I thought it was going to go, but I mean, like listening to Nettie and getting extra time just to like really delve into her book and her experience with her book, and then still getting to meet May and still having May get to interact with the audience who is so excited to see her. Like, she wrote the Broken Blade series, for any of you not familiar, but like go out and check these authors. Like I feel so I almost dropped an F-bomb in there. I'm so sorry. I feel very lucky though that like the sessions that we moderated were just very true to like our love as readers.
I think so too. Like these are stories that we both just enjoy and really love so earnestly, I think. And this was just one of the best weekends of our lives. I don't want to speak for you, but truly, like this was a really high moment that I'm going to cherish for a really long time.
1000%. And I feel like you and I talked about this, just you and I, but I feel like we have to reiterate the point. We are a year and a half into this podcast. We went to the Texas Book Festival, both of us, for the first time last year, and ate up everything. We went to 1 million sessions. We went to all of the merch. We like didn't really know people in the book community yet as much as we do now. And like reflecting back on our experience this year compared to last year is just wild. Don't you agree?
It was... Last year felt like we were the new kids at a school, and this year felt like we were like in the middle of the year. I don't know. Like we already know, like we know so many incredible friends now that are part of the book community, that just walking around and recognizing people that we interact with very consistently and seeing them on and about and waving and talking to them, it just made me feel so happy, because I'm like, yeah, we have come really far in trying to build this like book community and getting to know the people around our area. And I think there was a moment today where I just got a little teary-eyed, because every time that we would walk in or out of a tent, and then we would just meet up with somebody that we have met, or like that we know, or a friend, or a community organizer, or a bookstore owner. And it was just like, oh my gosh, it's only been a year, and this is all we've been able to kind of, I don't want to say build, but just kind of like be able to kind of be around and get to know this community. It just made my heart so happy.
It's funny because at the end of every episode, we always put like a list. We do a list of all the books that we talk about in the episode. And then occasionally if we have an author, we'll do a special thanks. And I think that for this episode, my special thanks is going to be all the people in the book community that we got to talk to and got to meet, and that were our friends and volunteers and whatever. And those, you know, the owner of Black Pearl Books, the owner of Larkin Owl, all of the community from Larkin Owl that we know, Dylan and Janelle and Kristen and Ahi and all these like amazing people. Like I feel like it was just like this year was like our love letter to like, yeah, the last year of Book World.
Yeah, we got to see Book Talk Babes, the Breadcrumbs Effect team as well. It was just so lovely. It just made my heart so full, honestly. And I think that's such a great idea to be able to kind of list out. And honestly, some of the new friends that we made along the way, we were also really lucky to be able to go and do a cocktail party on Friday for like the authors and moderators. And we met so many authors, poets, and people that help organize and put together the Texas Book Festival that we wouldn't have otherwise met. And we got to see them throughout the weekend. And it was so exciting. We were like, just kind of like, oh my gosh, here you are. Hi, Petra, blah. It was just one of the best feelings. Just like those little mingling events, as scary as they are, because Lindsay and I went in not knowing anybody, and you have to put yourself out there, which is so scary, but we did it. And I feel like we made some really cool friends along the way. And also it made me question, are we really reading everything? Because we met so many poets this weekend, Lindsay. And I'm like, should I be reading more poetry?
Journalists, yeah, I know. We're 2026 is our year of expansion. We're pushing our boundaries even more. Which is the theme of both of our sessions, and is also now the theme of our podcast year. That's what we're manifesting in 2026. New stuff.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that was also something that was talked about in a lot of panels, which is like, pushing your boundaries is how you grow. So don't be surprised if we're going to have some sort of war journalist on our podcast in the future. I don't know. We'll see. We're going to try to see if he will come on. And some poets. I really do want to learn a little bit more about poetry. Like, I think I just want to dip my toes in and tell me, like, if I'm a brand new person into poetry, what should I be reading? Like, who are like my go-tos that are going to allow me to fall in love with this genre? So I think there's definitely room for us to continue to grow.
We want to send from Literary Books the most heartfelt thank you to the Texas Book Festival and to all the organizers, Hannah, Michelle, Desiree, all the other folks, all the volunteers, all the authors. Like, it was amazing. And I know it was exhausting, particularly this year. And we're just very grateful.
Yeah, shout out to Jose, their social media manager as well. Yes. He was so amazing. And I just want to give a huge thank you and shout out to the main sponsor of this event, which is HEB and Book People.
HEB and Book People. Keeping us afloat.
This is amazing. Thank you guys so much for continuing. Please go take a look at texasbookfestival.org if you want to be able to contribute, support, whether it's your time or how you can potentially get involved more in the community. It's a great organization and a great thing. So go check it out if you haven't. And I think with that, thank you for listening to Literally Books, the podcast,
where we say what we read.
And we mean what we say. Bye.
Bye.